It is Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We are coming to you from HQ, the Lee Company Studios here in Columbia, Tennessee. Happy to be with you here for the next couple of hours talking local, regional, and national sports as we try to stay warm. I left Hampshire last night and there was snow on the roof of my vehicle. Not what you want to see when you've got to drive back to Franklin.
No, probably not. I enjoyed the snow, but
I enjoy the snow when I can look at it.
Well, yeah. I enjoyed the snow, but if it's going to snow, don't give me what we got last night. We didn't even get any in Pulaski. The house in Nashville, we got a fair amount, but not much in Pulaski. But if it's going to snow, give me some real snow. Don't
mess some stuff up, right?
They quote unquote let kids out of school a little more compared to back in our day, a little easier. Mm-hmm. If the kids don't even get out of school, then it's not even worthy of being called a snow almost. So come on, give me a little more than what we got last night.
Yeah, it just kind of spit last night, just enough to get you worked up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Got a great show coming today. We've got Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, excuse me. You can find him at Choose Chip on Twitter. He'll be with us to open the second hour, talking a little MTSU athletics. The Blue Raiders finished up their football season this past weekend on the road. Men's basketball picked up a huge victory on Sunday. I actually got to watch it. And we'll talk about all that and more with Chip at the top of hour number 2. We've got some NBA stuff to chat about. We've got some Major League Baseball stuff to chat about. And we should probably talk about a little college football because this will be the final projected bracket for the college football playoffs. It comes down tonight before it gets real this weekend following conference championship games when they actually announce the 12-team playoff bracket. So we'll talk a little bit about what we can expect tonight and how much that will inform, again, that final.
Yeah, it's your last little taste tonight. 4.0 comes out, and this is your kind of final dress rehearsal.
This is the final draft if you're doing that research paper for your college.
Final draft, and I still got a feeling we're due for at least one or two shakeups heading into conference championship weekend.
We'll take a look at some of those conference championship matchups as well and see what we think about those. It's going to be an interesting weekend, as have most of the weekends been this college football season. And, by the way, it is Top 5 Tuesday. Wade and I will close the show by bringing you our top 5 most hated television characters. Wade is over here feverishly
looking at the Notre Dame schedule.
Oh, okay. I thought
which is a hated character for some, I would imagine. But yes,
that would be number 1 with a bullet.
Yeah,
actually. But okay. Yeah. So you want to talk a little Notre Dame?
Well, you mentioned most hated, and I just Ohio State was already public enemy number 1 last week,
and so instantly went to South Bend.
The Michigan fan in me just kind of just naturally. It was a Freudian slip. I apologize, folks.
No apologies necessary. Yeah. So that's what we're dealing with here for the next hour and 56 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started like we always do about this time with yesterday's results and today's schedule on the Rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Let's kick this rundown off with girls basketball action last night. On the hardwood, it was CPA defeating Friendship Christian. 58-21 was that final. Cheatham County taking care of Sycamore 54-38. Community on top of Eagleville 61-56. Huntland 38, Culleoka 25. FC Boyd Christian 65. Franklin Road Christian 62. Good ball game there. a game that you were at, Mo, is that right? The
Game
Mount
that-
Pleasant 30, Hampshire 29, a Donnybrook in more ways than one, it sounded like.
In more ways than one, absolutely. Go to mainstreetmurray.com to see just exactly what we're referencing there.
It was a rivalry week
That's called a-
spillover from last week, I guess.
No flags planted at center court, but everything else.
Everything but good one there for Mount Pleasant. Again, 30-29 was your final. Summertown on top of Perry County, 53-27. It was Rockville 86, Clarksville Northeast 30. McEwen taking care of Santa Fe 66-50. Summit downing Shelbyville 49-46. Giles County defeating Spring Hill last night 53-24.
Boys basketball action from last night. We had Friendship Christian with a 68-50 win over Christ Presbyterian. It was Eagleville 84, Community 56. Culleoka with an 83-39 win over Huntland. Mount Pleasant 79, Hampshire 39. Again, coverage at mainstreetmurray.com. Lawson with a 57-53 win over White House. Summertown 88, Perry County 45. Rockvale, as we used to say when I was growing up, busted the clock. 101-43 over Clarksville Northeast. Santa Fe with a 72-54 win over McEwen. 40 points from guess who? Alden Slaughter in that one.
Picking up where you left off.
Absolutely. Summit with a 60-58 win over Shelbyville. In Shelbyville. Sound like a good ball game. Mount Juliet Christian 63, South Haven Christian 42. It was Giles County 58, Spring Hill 49. In men's basketball action last night, Lindsey Wilson with a 65-59 win over UT Southern. And we'll talk more about this one later in the show. But Monday Night Football, the Broncos with a 41-32 victory over Cleveland. And even in the loss, Cleveland manages to be entertaining. One guy in particular.
Famous Jameis, baby. Buy a ticket. That's all we got to say. Doubleheader basketball schedule for tonight. These games tip off at 6 unless otherwise indicated. Let's go Rossview, who's at BGA tonight. Spring Hill is at Battle Creek. Mount Juliet traveling to Brentwood. Montgomery Central visiting Cheatham County. It'll be Kenwood on the road at Clarksville Academy. Short trip. Lawrence County at Columbia tonight. Clarksville is at Creekwood. Houston County traveling to Frank Hughes. Davidson Academy is at FRA. University School of Nashville is at Friendship Christian. Fayetteville will come to Giles County tonight to the Hardin Mayfield Gymnasium. It'll be Fairview at Hickman County. Hillsboro at Hume Fogg. Stratford will be at Hunters Lane. Logan County, Kentucky is at Joe Burns. Glencliff at John Overton. Independence at Laverne. Gallatin is visiting Lebanon tonight. Hampshire is at Lewis County, and Harpeth traveling to Liberty Creek.
Also, Richland is at Loretto. That should be a decent ball game.
Yeah.
East Nashville travels slightly north to Maplewood. Marshall County hosting Columbia Academy. Ezel Harding is at Middle Tennessee Christian. Mount Pleasant takes on visiting Grace Christian of Franklin. Community goes to Murfreesboro Central. Rockvale is at Page. Protect your scoreboard, Page. Santa Fe is at Perry County. Eagleville goes to Riverdale. Smyrna hosts McGavock. Greenbrier is at Springfield in a big Robertson County tilt. White House Heritage goes to Sycamore. Merrill Hyde is at Trousdale County. West Creek hosts Station Camp. Wilson Central is at White County. And Zion Christian hosts Riverside Christian. Again, those are all double headers, all beginning at 6 o'clock with the girls.
Speaking of girls basketball, these games are what we have for standalone girls action tonight. Siegel at Centennial. All these games beginning at 6 p.m. Siegel at Centennial. Harpeth Hall at Good Pasture. Oakland is at Green Hill. Portland is at Hendersonville. Baylor traveling to Providence Christian. STEM Academy at Kip Nashville. But we also are hearing reports of Kip Nashville at Valor Collegiate. So if you're a Kip Nashville fan, double check before you head out.
If you're a STEM Academy fan, double check.
Also, yeah, you don't want to roll up to Kip Nashville and find out there ain't no game going on. So make sure you check that out. Other games we have listed, these are boys-only contests tonight. Kirkwood at Franklin beginning at 7:30. Tennessee Heat at Good Pasture tonight. Nolensville is at Stewart's Creek. Red Boiling Springs traveling to Watertown. And we have Westmoreland visiting White House.
Men's basketball action this evening, 6 o'clock tip. You can see it on ESPN Plus. Lipscomb goes to It used to be the Roundhouse. Now it's just McKenzie Arena, I think, taking on the Mocs of Chattanooga. And in the SEC ACC Challenge or ACC SEC, depending on which conference you have allegiance to, Syracuse, a lot of orange here, coming to Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena, taking on the number 3 Tennessee Volunteers. NBA action. The Grizzlies stepping away from the Grindhouse, heading out to Big D, taking on the Mavericks. That's a 7:30 tip on FanDuel Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your rundown. Your top story brought to you as always by the fine folks at Piggly Wiggly in Neely's Mill right here in Muletown. Be sure and check out their delicious daily deli lunch options available from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Also, their hand-cut meats and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you our top story. Is LeBron washed?
If you go off last night's game, yeah. If you go off the rest of the season, no. But yeah, last night, man, bit of a head scratcher for the King.
10 points in a 109-80 loss to a Timberwolf team that Anthony Edwards just kind of verbally took to the woodshed last week.
Yeah, they've not been playing well. This is a game that the Lakers going into probably felt pretty good about. And instead, and instead they come out scratching their heads saying, what did we walk into? Not a great effort for the Lakers on the road again against a Timberwolves team that was kind of struggling coming into last night.
Yeah. So, again, LeBron with 10. I think he's got a streak of consecutive games in which he has scored double digits. I mean, when you're the GOAT, then surely you don't go out and put up a 9-point game, right? So, but he shot 4 of 16 from the floor, missed all 4 of his 3-point attempts, 2 of 4 from the line, played 30 of 48 minutes, and apparently entering the year, LBJ had set a goal of playing in every game for the Lakers. I think that's not going to happen. I mean, when you're 39 years old, when you look around the league at some of the other folks who are espousing the load management theory, and you're 39 and you think you're going to play in all 82, which would be the first time. The only other time LeBron James has played in all 82 regular season games was in 2017, 2018. 21 years. Once he's gone to the post every night. I don't know what at the age of 39 would make him think that this is going to be the second time he's going to do it. But
I'll tell you what, I'm not usually in the business of betting against that guy. And the one thing we know for sure, if it comes down to his word versus JJ Redick's word, guess who's going to win that battle, right?
There you go.
Hey, we need you to sit tonight.
No,
buddy. Sorry.
No, that ain't happening. But, I mean, do you want 80% LeBron starting or playing in all 82 games, or do you want, 92% LeBron playing in 70 games?
I mean,
or if you're LeBron, which do you want?
Well, I mean, when we hear that declaration, it kind of just comes down to he's done virtually everything there is to do in this league. Why not add one other crazy nugget to his resume at that age? Yeah. So if he is determined, that's the one guy, like I said, I'm not betting against that guy if that's what he's determined to do. Now, with that being said, if I'm a fan, obviously I prefer the other scenario where, I mean, the Lakers are clearly going to be in the discussion, probably going to even avoid a play-in situation this year. They might actually full-blown be in the playoffs to begin with. So that, and coming off the Olympics as well, I mean, this would be the craziest thing that he potentially has done in his entire career. And like I said, I'm not usually in the business of betting against that guy, but yeah, you get the feeling there's going to be some point where he's going to have to take a break.
Again, 4 of 16 last night, 0 of 4 from behind the arc. That makes him 0 of 19 from behind the arc in his last 4 games.
Hadn't been shooting well, and it's a rough night for them. On the flip side, that's a big win for Minnesota because the Lakers kind of had been punching above their weight and punching above expectations. So now Minnesota eyeballs that game and says, okay, this was actually a decent win for us. Maybe they kind of start finding a little bit of rhythm, gets them to 500 for the year.
I don't know I don't know that's in the best interest of him and us if he does that. But if he's feeling well and feeling good, then he should play, said JJ. But again, it's not JJ's decision.
No.
So somebody else is going to have to prevail upon LeBron to
your point too. The entire Lakers 6 of 31 last night. Connect was 0 of 5. Rui, he only took 1, but he was 0 of 1. Anthony Davis 0 of 2 from beyond the arc. Max Christie for some reason was compelled to shoot 7 3-pointers. He only made 1 last night. So I mean, they shot 20% from downtown as a team. Seems like everybody had an off night shooting, and they're still in decent shape sitting there. Again, they're punching above weight, I think, from what a lot of folks anticipated coming into the season at 12-9.
12-9, 8th place in the West. 1 game ahead of Minnesota. 1 game out of the number 4 seed. So the question for the Lakers is, I mean, can they afford to get these kind of stinkers of nights out of him? But can they afford to have him off the floor entirely? I mean, it's a high risk, high reward situation, sounds like.
Yeah, and that's where I come back to. You cannot bank on LeBron. He's already had some kind of turn back the clock performances this year. You can't bank on those. That's where guys like Connect, who, again, continues to be in the starting lineup, those role players are going to have to step up and play bigger roles for him to thrive the way they need, for LeBron, that is.
Sure.
Because he's not going to be able to go out. He hasn't scored, had 27 against Utah, but I mean, against Utah, they're in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. So, I mean, he hasn't scored 20 plus for about 5 or 6 games now at this point. So, I mean, you cannot bank on him. He can't carry you in that capacity. He can carry you in a playmaking capacity, but that's also going to mean that the other guys got to step up.
Right. I mean, if you're making plays, then somebody else has to finish plays. And I'm not sure that the Lakers are necessarily built for that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, similar to the Cowboys in this regard. They're kind of a quote-unquote superstar team, but really, I mean, this is a team that's gotten pummeled by the Nuggets the last couple of years in the playoffs. This is a team that has squeaked in the playoffs the last couple of years. We're not talking about any real serious sorry, Lakers fans. We're not talking about any real serious team in terms of contention, even in the Western Conference, I don't think, this year. As crazy as it would be, and as great of Anthony Davis is a fringe MVP candidate to start this season. But with all that being said, we're still talking about a team that's relatively mediocre in the grand scheme of things. They've kind of punched above their weight, as I've said a few times, to this point thus far in the season.
It's interesting that you parallel the Lakers and the Cowboys because
there are so many Lakers Cowboys fans.
The Timberwolves put out a graphic after their win last night with the quarter-by-quarter scoring, Lakers 80, Timberwolves 109, and they've got a stick figure drawn of an angry emoji.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I had thought to send this to Mark because I saw it prior to the show, but they've got an angry emoji wearing a Yankees cap, a Cowboys t-shirt, and Lakers shorts and Nikes.
And throw on an Alabama jersey for good measure.
Or Notre Dame.
Well, they haven't won anything, though.
Well, yeah.
True, but they are stuck in the past. You're right about that.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
These are all franchises that are stuck in the past. And, you ride up and down Main Street here in Columbia, and you'll see some of those random F-150s that have the Yankees logo. They have the Lakers logo. They have the Cowboys logo. Those fans exist in this world, and it's good to see the Timberwolves poking fun at them a little bit.
Absolutely. They chose violence with that one, no
Yep.
doubt. Hey, Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we return to the Lee Company studios, let's talk a little college football. It's a big night tonight. Stay tuned after the break. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Well, we went all out for you this year, didn't we, little girl? Yep, we got you what you wanted with all the bells and whistles.
A brand new car?
Let's go check it out. Come on. We're here.
Oh my gosh, we're going to the garage. I got a car.
Yep, let's get in here. Let me show you what's going on.
Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Duggar, got your 18 series heat pump with your ultraviolet home treatment system.
I cannot believe it. Thank you.
Yes! Give the gift of clean air this year. Merry Christmas from the Busy Bee family.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
He shoots, and he scores!
Top 5 Tuesday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We're coming to you from the Lee Company studios here in Columbia. And as has been the case each of the previous 4 Tuesday evenings / Tuesday nights, the college football playoff rankings and bracket projections will come down later today. I guess it'll be at halftime of a basketball game or between basketball games on ESPN, if last week was any indication. But spoiler alert, Oregon will be number 1.
Feel pretty confident about that.
Past that, who knows?
Yeah, this is the week where everything's kind of up in the air, right?
I really think so, because I as we discussed with Christopher Gabriel yesterday, I think at some point, maybe somebody's going to look at Texas's schedule.
And slide them down at this point without losing?
I guess you've set the precedent. I guess it would be tough to slide them down if they don't lose. But
And if they win, they avenge their, one of their bad losses.
their bad loss.
Bad. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about. I would not want to be in the committee's shoes.
Yeah,
to sort through all
think,
this.
But here's the thing: they find a way, and as we said yesterday when we were talking with Christopher, Ward Manuel finds a way to come out afterward and justify whatever it is that they've done, typically in service to the Big Ten. So it'll be interesting. But the AP poll, we didn't get to touch on this yesterday, but again, Oregon, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, Georgia are 1 through 5. Each of them and Tennessee moved up a spot from last week into their current positions. Tennessee is at 6. Tennessee is at 6. Ohio State is at 7. I think that should be something to keep an eye on tonight.
Feels pertinent after all of our discussion yesterday, for sure.
SMU is the top Atlantic Coast Conference in the AP poll at number 8, followed by Indiana and Boise State. Boise State, something else to keep an eye on, because if they are your 4th division champion, then the Big 12, as we saw last week, kind of gets punted. And, maybe the Big 12 should, the way things have gone for them. They've not had anybody to really take that situation by the horns. Right now, Arizona State, planting their trident somewhere, looks like the best team in the Big 12. Are they?
I think so. They're certainly playing the best right now. I think the 2 teams in that game, them and Iowa State, are the 2 hottest teams. Now that Kansas finally decided to take a breather. And yeah, Boise State, I mean, they still have the best loss of anybody in the country.
Of anybody with a loss.
Right. I mean, now that Ohio State has 2, Ohio State and Boise State shared that moniker, right? But now that OSU lost again, kicked them to the curb. And Boise State is sitting there saying, hey, we've got the best loss. Why not us? And so, I'm every one of these projections is different. I'm on the Athletic here. And they've got Boise slotted as the 3 seed. I mean, ahead of Clemson as the 4 by virtue of winning the ACC title game over SMU. And so tonight will be fascinating, because crazy to think about that Boise State, and this is what trips people out, right? The rankings, as we've talked about all year, the rankings and the projections
are not the same.
And so you look and you're like, Boise State, they're not the 3rd best team in the country. That's not how it works, unfortunately, or that's not how it works. And so it is kind of jarring. It is kind of interesting. And tonight will be, like you said earlier, kind of the final draft before we get this thing rolled out officially. And then the real debate and the real pitchforks, not just even tridents, but the real pitchforks and torches come out at that point.
SMU and Clemson will play for the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship. And Clemson would have a 4th loss if they lose to SMU. They're done.
Yes.
Does SMU get in with a Clemson win?
Doesn't feel like it at this point. Just reading the room. They've had a great season, and they're really kicking themselves with that BYU game, because they should have won that game. That was one of those games when BYU was on that undefeated run where they were just stealing wins left and right, defying logic sometimes, coming away with wins. And SMU, it feels, these great years they've had, a second loss, it feels dooming for them at this point.
In the Big Ten,
because they just got in. They've been on the bubble for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and finally just cracking the projections. Feels like they'd be one of the first teams dumped out.
Yeah. Oregon and Penn State would be your Big Ten championship game matchup. And, another chance for Penn State to actually beat somebody good.
Yeah, James Franklin, man, you keep running out of time. You keep running out of chances to win the big game. And you had such of a buildup versus Ohio State, only to lay an egg there. Now you get a chance versus Oregon. Oregon's only favored by 3.5. I still think Penn State's a pretty good football team. I don't know that they've got the goods to beat Oregon, but I think it'll be a pretty decent game. And Oregon, in my opinion, is not designed. I don't know that they blow a ton of teams out. Their offense is, solid, but it's not as explosive as Oregon offenses in years past. Their defense is really great, though. I think that'll be an ugly game, and this will be the final. I mean, again, James Franklin kind of keeps running out of time in terms of his ability to win the big game. And I don't know that he's going to this weekend as well.
As you mentioned, Arizona State and Iowa State in the Big 12 title tilt. And I'm sure we'll talk more about these later in the week with the Wonder Slate. But like you said, these are two pretty hot teams right now, particularly Arizona State.
Scatterbo is, if it weren't for Genty, we'd be talking about Scatterbo as the quote-unquote dark horse Heisman candidate. And this guy he's even battled back from an injury, close to 1,500 yards on the ground. And Arizona State is just playing some phenomenal football right now. And again, I've said this before too, not a fan with any allegiances in the Big 12, this has been the funnest league by far to watch this year.
It's been crazy.
Because every team is getting hot. Every team it's truly like a merry-go-round, and you don't know when you're going to get on or off. We end up with a 4-way tie at 7-2 in that conference, and we see Arizona State and Iowa State as the two representatives.
As everybody watching knows, it's Texas and Georgia going to Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the SEC championship. Georgia won this matchup earlier in the year 30-15. And I don't know what to expect from this ball game, because has Texas gotten better since then? Georgia's dropped one, and got pushed to 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech, which, no disrespect to Georgia Tech, but if you are the number 5 team in the country, you shouldn't have to go 8 overtimes to beat Georgia Tech, right?
Yeah, this does not feel like we said this all year, but this is not the dominant, almost hands down best team in the country, Georgia, that we've used to, mini dynasty, that we've seen over the last several years. This is a Georgia team that at their best can be and is perhaps the best team in the country. Only problem for them, they have not been at their best more often than not, it feels like, this season. Even in some of their wins, you go back to the Kentucky game where it's 13-12 and there wasn't a touchdown score until the fourth quarter. I mean, they have not been at their best on a number of occasions this year, but when they are, and if they are at their best, I think they are better than Texas. And so to your question about the Longhorns too, I don't know that they've gotten that much better as the year's gone on. It felt like they just ascended to the number 2 spot and then kind of
through attrition.
Just through attrition and just hung out there. And then when Georgia beat them, everybody else, kind of just started falling back behind as well in those SEC standings. And Texas, somehow, some way, good, bad, or indifferent, whoever, tabulated the computer to spit out the conference schedule this year, may have given them a little bit of an easier schedule, and they end up as the only team that has one conference loss, the only team with one loss in general in that whole league this year.
This game had a little bit more juice before Memphis showed up last Friday and knocked off Tulane, but Army and Tulane will play for the American Championship at West Point. I don't think, Boise, I guess, is your group of 5 team at this point. So they're just kind of playing for a conference championship at this point.
Yeah. Barring absolute all hell breaking loose, feels like Tulane bit the dust last week. Army bit the dust 2 weeks ago when they lost to Notre Dame. And yeah, you're playing for pride. And I was kind of stunned by that Memphis game, but, maybe not as much because, man, there's a lot of buzz about Tulane head coach John Summerall, and maybe he's already – we hear that every time this time of the year. Is he looking at this job? Is he looking at that job? He's already been linked to a couple different ones. And, sometimes those rumblings kind of lead to some stinkers down the stretch. And Memphis is a good team, but man, they throttled Tulane on Friday night.
Okay, so riddle me this, Batman. Boise and UNLV on the blue turf for the Mountain West Championship. If UNLV goes and does the unthinkable, then what?
Boise's only favored by 4.
So maybe it's not as unthinkable.
And has not looked great the last couple of weeks. But
and they won. Boise defeated UNLV, what, 29-24 earlier in the year.
I don't think if you're asking if UNLV's got the juice to get in, I don't feel like they do.
But who does, though? Because you got to have a group of 5, right? Tulane just lost last week.
Maybe.
And is it Boise anyway?
I mean, in a perfect world, Army takes care of Tulane, and then you give it back to Army maybe at that point. That's just my
Wouldn't
personal
that
preference.
be awesome to see a service academy in the playoffs?
It'd be fun, but man, UNLV.
And unless you're the team that's got to play them.
Correct. I'm not sold on this game. You know, that's one for the committee, and that's one where everybody's quietly kind of hoping that Boise just takes care of business. Except for the teams, obviously, that maybe want that bye. You know, somebody like a Big 12 champ is sitting there thinking maybe UNLV wins, and then obviously we would be in line to grab that 4th spot. So that game is, I don't know. We got a couple more sleeps between now and Friday.
Sure.
So I still got some time to marinate on that game right there, because I think it's going to be a little closer, I think, than the experts may originally have thought.
The portal is starting to heat up, and one of the folks in it is former Southern Cal starting quarterback, Miller Moss. He ceased to be QB1 for the Trojans mid-year and is out. Made 10 starts for USC. Sat behind Caleb Williams, played Louisville, threw for 6 touchdowns in a 42-28 win in the Holiday Bowl once, Williams decided to prepare for the draft. And again, was the starting quarterback coming into the season before being overtaken by Jaden Maeva at that spot. So the portal doesn't open until next Monday, but he has pretty much declared that he will be in it when the time comes, and in doing so, he becomes the top quarterback available in the portal, moving ahead of ex-UNLV signal caller Matthew Sluka. So there's some guys out there that would, in a quarterback-driven sport, make some folks happy.
Yeah, come on down to Ann Arbor, man. We've already opened up the checkbook. Underwood needs to sit for a year, maybe get some seasoning. Why not bring in Moss? And as soon as I say that, I'm looking at all 3. Michigan, Auburn, Iowa, Louisville, all kind of mentioned as you kind of referenced some possible destinations for that guy. Didn't feel like a great – man, he got off to, on the opening night of the season when they beat LSU, we're like, man, here we go.
Here we go.
We got the next guy, the next hotshot QB.
The next hotshot QB from Southern Cal.
Correct, right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And then it just never kind of materialized. And he has not found his stride, and his services will be highly bid upon. But yeah, come on down to Ann Arbor. We'd love to have you. We got some QB issues we got to work on.
Let me ask you, though. For the NIL package that Bryce Underwood is apparently getting, is he coming to sit?
I don't know if he's expecting to sit. Arch Manning probably wanted to come in and start from day one too. But hey, if you get a chance to sit behind a guy for a year and get paid, we talked about Chase Daniel making a lot of money sitting and holding a clipboard. Underwood could do the same. The competitive nature obviously would make you think, yeah, I'm here to take this job from day one. But there is some value to be had. And it's crazy too, right? So much of this is already thinking about NFL draft 2030 and who are the who are the quarterbacks in that class. It's reclassifying in a sense by kind of analyzing if you sit, if you leave early, et cetera, et cetera. So competitive nature wise, yeah, I don't think this kid is destined or wants to sit, but for a couple $1 million, I could be compelled to sit in Ann Arbor for a year and then get the reins turned over to a revitalized Wolverine team at that point, hopefully next season. If you come off like a 10-2 season next year, maybe flirt with the college football playoff, who knows? And then boom, now all of a sudden you're the guy that gets to take over after that. That doesn't sound like a bad deal to me.
It doesn't. You make it sound pretty good.
It's cold.
We need to get you Bryce's phone number.
It's cold up there. It's cold up there, but they can fit him. They got some great apparel deals with Jumpman, so they could come up with something nice for him to keep him warm on the side
while he's sitting.
Yeah, absolutely. He's from Michigan, so he's kind of already used to the cold. So it's not the worst thing in the world if sit behind Miller for a year or whoever comes out, because Miller Moss will probably get replaced here in about another 2 or 3 weeks as the next big quarterback that's entering the portal, undoubtedly.
Also hitting the portal is former App State coach Sean Clark, 40-24 in 5 seasons over in Boone. The Mountaineers, with their first losing season in 11 years, 5-6, gave them reason to move on from Sean Clark in what feels like to me the latest case of a program not really knowing its place. I mean, you've had one losing season in 11 years. You've had one losing season under this guy in 5 years, 5-6. And I mean, it's Boone, North Carolina. Maybe there's things going on over there that we don't know about. But this sounds like it sounds like a pretty ridiculous move on my part.
They just beat James Madison a couple weeks ago to rob them of a berth in the Sun Belt title game. Yeah, who knows? Coaching and administration is always a weird dynamic, and there's a lot of egos that play on both sides of that equation. So without, tapping into some sources over there in Boone, who knows? Because you're right. On its surface level, it doesn't seem like it seems like a head scratcher for sure.
It definitely seems like a head scratcher. As quick as this flared up, it died down. There was talk about Bobby Petrino to Charlotte, and now there's a headline on CBS Sports: Bobby Petrino withdraws from Charlotte coaching search after both sides shared mutual interests. So maybe Bobby asked if he could bring his motorcycle, and they said, no, I don't know.
Yeah, not sure on the laws, on the helmet requirements over there in North Carolina, but also doesn't feel like we've heard the last of this guy.
Well, clearly.
During this coaching cycle. So
yeah, there's plenty of spots out there, I think.
Maybe I'm prepared for the Charlotte. All of a sudden, hey, did you hear this is about to come open? Let me just, put this motorcycle back in third gear here and see what happens.
Let's flip it back in the garage for the moment. Yeah. One place that is not an option, though, is Florida Atlantic, which hired former Texas Tech offensive coordinator Zach Kittley to replace Tom Herman. Kittley, 33 years old, the youngest head coach in FBS. 33 in Boca.
What's the worst that could happen? If Lane Kiffin can do it, Zach Kittley can do it down there. I got faith in the young buck.
I got faith. Yeah, I mean, again, Lane survived it. So, Texas Tech threw for nearly 300 yards a game this past season, 459.8 total yards per game. That 459 number was the 10th best in the country. The passing yardage was 9th best in FBS. Kittley has been with Cliff Kingsbury out at Tech when Mahomes was out there. He was offensive coordinator at Houston Baptist and at Western Kentucky. So he's been around some guys that can sling it a little bit, including Bailey Zappi. So
I didn't know this. I love this little nugget here. Says he originally committed to play basketball at Abilene Christian as a walk-on, but then decided to get into football coaching. Transferred to Texas Tech, and then he links up with Kingsbury. He becomes Sonny Cumby's kind of student assistant. I always love when there's kind of an odd or an off the beaten path type of journey for these folks.
Mhm.
And 33 years in Boca. Surely he can find something to get into down there.
well, you know, that had to enter into the consideration at some point. Let's see. I'm in Lubbock, but I can go to Boca.
Become a head coach.
Sign me up. Yeah.
I mean, you could be a power 4 coach by the time you're 40. I mean, if you have enough success there, which is crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a break here on Main Street Sports today. When we return to the Lee Company studios after the break, let's talk a little baseball. Stay tuned.
Do you want to be a bad man? Yes, you do. Do you want to taste sweet salvation underneath the summer moon? Do you need another hand now? Yes, you do. Go see Miss Josie down on Columbus Avenue. All right, Columbus Avenue.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family. We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Top 5 Tuesday on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, continues as we talk a little baseball, a little hot stove action, and it's not all involving players. A friend of the show, Chris Harris, longtime Mississippi Braves play-by-play announcer, apparently has a new gig. Tweeted out Sunday night that he would be joining what are they? They are the Trash Panda, the Rocket City Trash Pandas. There we go. Out of Madison, Alabama. Don't call it Huntsville. And he's manager of broadcasting and media relations, I believe was the title, but he'll be working with legacy broadcaster
Big Papa Panda.
There we go. Josh Carey, who is the grandson of Harry Carey.
Yep. Love his Twitter bio. Son of that guy, grandson of the other guy.
That's perfect. That's yes, I am him. Yeah. So, congratulations to Chris. Hopefully we'll be able to get him on here at some point and discuss this a little bit more. But having lost a job, it's never comfortable. And so knowing where your next paycheck is coming from is always a good thing. And the fact that he's going to get to stay in the area, stay in the Southern League, and continue to apply his trade, that's great news. Right now, he's doing some radio for Southern Miss men's basketball. Had a big game over the weekend as in a matchup of Golden Eagles, Southern Miss defeated Marquette behind 13 points from former Independent standout Jet Montgomery.
Bingo.
So, yeah. But yeah, seriously, congratulations to Chris again. That's huge. Moving on to the field, former Cincinnati, former Milwaukee pitcher, and former Sound, I believe, Frankie Montas, signed a 2-year, $34 million deal with the Mets this week. And as a Braves fan, I'm not quite sure how I feel about that.
A little conflicted?
Well, actually, I do know how I feel about that. I don't feel good about it, to be honest. I mean, he's pretty solid. And now it is the Mets, so it doesn't really matter what they do. But no, this is a good get. He was 7-11 with a 4.84 ERA, over 30 starts with Cincinnati and Milwaukee. At one time, went through a performance-enhancing drug suspension back in 19. 6th in the 2021 Cy Young balloting. So, I mean, he's not necessarily a 1 or a 2, but he's a guy who can, as they like to say, eat up some innings. It's a quality back end rotation guy. Mets will shoot for him to be the 4th or 5th starter come opening day. You got to have one.
Yeah. They ain't going to get on the Dodgers level as far as, having an ace for all 5 spots, but this seems like a pretty good deal. And also kind of seems kind of like a little bit of a repeat of a strategy they've tried before, where signing to a smaller deal to try and maybe entice maybe a bigger name, or, not lock somebody up for a much longer contract. And, it would be interesting. Like you said, you need those innings eaters. And the fact that you maybe get a guy who would be a fringe ace for some teams as your 3rd or 4th or maybe even 5th option is kind of, in theory, what you want to strive to as an organization.
Sure. You mentioned the Dodgers. I wish I understood their roster management approach. They signed Tommy Edman to a 5-year, $74 million contract extension over the weekend. Edman plays shortstop. He plays center field. They're just collecting guys, and then they just throw them out there, man. I don't get it. You've got Mookie Betts. You're talking about bringing him back to the infield. You've got Gavin Lux. You've got Chris Taylor is still on the roster, I think. You've got all these guys. I mean, I've heard of positionless basketball.
Yeah.
I don't know that positionless baseball necessarily works, but hey, spend it, guys. Go ahead. I don't know if the Dodgers' theory is we're going to sign everybody that everybody else wants to sign so that they can't. I mean, I don't know how it works.
Yeah. Any other franchise, I'd be like, okay, there's no way this works. And then we just saw what they just did this season.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, they figured out a way to do it. You're right. It's almost like they take the wish list, the Christmas list for everybody, you know, and they look at it and,
And
say,
then
yeah,
they
well,
cherry
we'll
pick
get
it. Yeah.
cherry pick the ones that everybody else wants. It's like a fantasy football draft strategy right there. You pick who everybody else wants, but they made it work. As the champs, you know, he's the NLCS MVP, and you get a chance to lock him up. It seems like a pretty good deal for them.
5 years, $74 million. I mean, as a utility man, is he going to be there for 5 years? It's the Dodgers. Who knows?
Who knows? And I mean, that begs the question too. At some point, you know, especially if they could somehow win it again this year, the way that sport is designed and the way it's set up, I mean, at some point, you know, you almost entice people. Hey, it's kind of like we see with NFL, you know, hey, take a pay cut to come here. You'll get a chance to win your ring. And it worked out for him this year. We'll see what happens in 25.
Aroldis Chapman has posted a picture of himself on social media wearing a Red Sox hat. And reports are that he and the club have agreed to a 1-year, $10.75 million deal. So
some high heat coming to Boston.
No doubt. Kenley Jansen is a free agent. He's got 56 saves over the past 2 seasons for the Red Sox after leaving the Braves, by the way. But Chapman will be 37 heading into the 2025 season. 98 strikeouts and 61 2/3 innings for the Pirates. And, you know, the high heat is still heat. 97.8 miles average fastball velocity last season, 98.8 sinker velocity. But, you know, his heat isn't as, you know, it's not as impressive anymore because you've got guys like Ben Joyce with the Angels and some of the other folks that are throwing at as high velocity, if not higher. But this guy's gotten it done over a lengthy period of time. 335 career saves, which is 16th ever. He's won a World Series both as a closer and as a setup guy. Been to the postseason 8 different times. So, I mean, if you are a team like Boston trying to get up in the AL East, he could be an important piece for you.
Absolutely. Good arm for them. Good ad for them. I am a little sad, though, because visualizing Skeens pumping 100 miles an hour in like the 8th inning and then just handing the ball off to Chapman doing the same in the 9th. I feel like we are kind of robbed a little bit as baseball fans of that. But maybe Boston could sign a little fireballer as well to continue that.
He won't be Skeens. One of my favorite non-Braves probably shut it down here in the last few days. Former San Francisco Giants shortstop Brandon Crawford won a pair of World Series out on the West Coast. Played for the Cardinals last year as a utility guy. 4 All-Star games, 3 Gold Gloves, and 3 All-Star games, 4 Gold Gloves. And like I said, a 2-time World Series champion. He has announced his retirement after 14 seasons. If we hadn't had some of the shortstops that we'd had in Atlanta, I'd have loved to have seen him in a Braves uniform. But it's just fun to watch, man. And you hate to see guys like that step away, but it's good to know when it's time, I guess.
Yeah, one of the greats for those Giants runs, like you said. They had some special teams, and he was certainly a big part of that. And like you said, the fact that he gets to go out on his own terms, he kind of strikes me as a guy. He'll find a way to stay around the game, it feels like. Just my gut feeling on that.
He's got 5 young kids. Maybe not.
Coaching
Oh,
T-ball.
coaching them.
Yeah,
Okay.
come on now. I mean, yeah, he'll be around in some capacity. I don't think he's just going to go move to a ranch in Wyoming and just totally go off the grid. I feel like he'll be around in some capacity.
Yeah, that's
very, very cool to see. Like you said, heck of a career for some really good Giants teams.
absolutely. Real quick before we hit the top of the hour, the Athletics, never a dull moment in this transition that they are going through from Oakland to eventually Vegas. Headline on CBSSports.com. Estimated cost of Athletics' new Las Vegas ballpark increases by $250 million per report. That's $250 million increased. That's not the cost of the ballpark. That's the increased to the cost of the ballpark.
Well, I'm glad you clarified that because I was getting ready to roast them if I was like, if all this and you're only building a park that costs $250 million when every stadium virtually is $1 billion plus at this point, I was going to say, well, that's about on par for the Athletics. But yeah, an increase to $250 million, that's a different tune right there. I'd like to know what kind of amenities that's going toward.
The new estimated cost is $1.75 billion, up from a previous $1.5 billion. And according to Las Vegas Stadium Authority documents, the team will be responsible for these over budget costs. So the question becomes, where in the heck are the Athletics going to come up with $250 million?
That free agent pool
just got
just shrunk a little bit,
if not a lot. Well, not going to sign anybody anyway. Walker Buehler just told them no thanks.
Yeah, we're just going to basically roll everybody in AAA just got promoted to the major league level. We'll just shuffle everybody accordingly.
Part of the increased cost has to do with the A's improving the audio and visual capabilities of the ballpark so as to make it an attractive venue for concerts. So,
I mean, that's an interesting angle too, right? I mean, there's so many. I mean, the Sphere's right next door. You've got all these other entertainment options. It's kind of like we talk about, USC football or UCLA football at times. You're competing against so many other options. You got to do something to separate yourself. So I guess in some regard, maybe we shouldn't be surprised that they're trying to really put on the sizzle in this situation here.
Absolutely. Hour number one of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is in the books. When we return to the Lee Company studio for hour number two, we will be joined by the Blue Raider voice, the pride of the dimple, the 2024 National Sports Media Association Tennessee Sportscaster of the Year finalist, Chip Walters. Join us after this.
Nashville's Nutcracker returns to TPAC this December, presented by Nashville Ballet. This holiday season, audiences will journey with Clara and the Nutcracker Prince through Nashville's history and the land of sweets. Tickets at NashvilleBallet.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vilay Saisuka, CEO and founder of Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee, here in Murfreesboro. We offer foot and ankle care from ingrown toenails to diabetic foot wounds. We also fix ankle fractures and things like that.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
What's that handle all day?
Hour number 2 of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, starts right now. In our final segment, Wade and I will be bringing you our top 5 most hated television characters. Not movie characters, television characters. So movie characters would be a completely different list. But stick around for that. The last time I threw this question out to Chip, I wound up with an extra item for Thanksgiving dinner. Chip, who would be your most hated television character?
I can't think of his name, but
Chris Moltisanti.
No, well, The Sopranos is correct.
Right show, wrong guy.
Right show.
Sorry, teaming out of
it. Golly, I can't.
Come back to it.
I'll come back to it. Yeah.
Come back to it. Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today. How was South Florida?
Wait a minute.
How was Pitbull Stadium?
Vito Spatafor. Vito.
He could be up there on my list.
He was my most hated. But the question there, Mo, was what was Pitbull Stadium?
Yes.
Well, I think they have an atomic powered PA system in there. Just you could probably hear it in Columbia from Miami, especially when there was nobody in there, 3 hours prior to the game, except me and JP and Joe, and we're getting stuff set up, and they had it cranking pretty good. It was hot. It was it was about 82, 83 degrees most of the day on Saturday before some clouds came in at halftime. But I mean, Pitbull Stadium had not changed a lick other than some signage from prior times. But they this FIU team, the FIU's team this year reminded me a whole lot of Middle's team a year ago. They ended up getting 4 wins. They had about 3 or 4 more games that were 1-score losses, very similar to what Middle went through, kind of snake bit a year ago. And they kind of took out some frustrations here at the end. I think they felt like they were playing for Mike McIntyre's job. Apparently that was not the case, that decision had been made since he was let go on Sunday. There was kind of a social media firestorm of former players kind of leading up to the final week of the season. And, it's kind of odd because you never have heard anything like some of that stuff about Mike at all, because, we know what stock he came from,
Right.
and you know, and had success just about as a program rebuilder in a lot of
Mhm.
different places, Colorado, San Jose State, and had done a nice job. I thought. I would say probably the best coaching job at FIU since Mario Cristobal, and but I hate it for him, but it is the way of the world apparently this year in college football.
It is indeed. Could you tell me something? Because I
Yes.
watched some of the ball game on Saturday. What are FIU's colors?
Not what they wore.
Okay.
They wore 1978 Houston Oilers uniforms. It appeared,
Now to
but
Carolina, there was a lot of definitely a love you blue kind of thing. I see
yeah,
where you're going there, but
their
yeah,
colors are navy and old
and
gold,
gold. Yeah.
and or Vegas gold, as I
Mhm.
would be corrected by my radio analyst Kyle Turnham. He is an expert on the different shades of gold. So but no, they that I think that was their Miami Vice uniforms they had.
Okay.
They had an alternate set of Miami Vice where it had a lot of pink and blue in it, and they also had the field painted with a lot of
Yeah.
pink and blue. So
Yeah, the end zones had that powder blue in them as well. Yeah,
right.
for a second, I wasn't sure I was watching the right teams, to be honest. But yeah,
Middle had
tough.
the icy whites on, which is probably my second favorite uniform combo that we have.
What's your favorite?
Silver, blue, silver.
Okay.
The classic.
Okay. All right. Not a great Saturday on the field for the Blue Raiders.
No, not got off to a horrible start offensively. 3 and out on first 2 possessions, while FIU was scoring touchdowns on their first 2 possessions. And I'm no math major, but that does not work out real well. And, after that, it was kind of a, tay-to-tay kind of deal, back and forth. Middle did have its biggest scoring quarter of the season in the second quarter on Saturday, scoring 17 points in the second quarter, and that was the highest scoring quarter of the entire 2024 season. And it was cosm of the year when you look at that game. You didn't have a ton of penalties, but you had some critical penalties. And then when you look at what you were able to do offensively, defensively, and on special teams, that was one of the things this team, I think, searched for all season, was something they could hang their hat on. And I don't know if we ever got to that point. I think, this team was a pretty good big play team, but sometimes was a team that offensively, with its struggles in the offensive line, had trouble sustaining long drives. That's why, the handful of times here in the last 3 or 4 games where they did have, double-digit play drives that ended up in scores stood out so much. And defensively, obviously had some real issues against the run this year, especially against running quarterbacks. And then, you had some special teams issues, and, that is all part of, that growth process and things that Derek Mason and his staff are going to be working on and have been working on. And as the roster management piece of it comes together, the door that swings both ways, we've already seen it swing open with about 9 people who have announced their intentions to be in the transfer portal. And there's an expectation that as of tomorrow, you'll have about 16 or 17 individuals coming in the door on National Signing Day. So that process is underway. And I still have a hard time getting used to the reality of what college football, is when it comes to all of this. I was on a podcast yesterday, and in the just the conversation about okay, here are these 9 guys who put their name in. No real huge surprises there. Well, there are a couple to me that surprise. I Devin Curtis, he's a grad transfer, makes total sense. That he's going to go somewhere. Not that I'm surprised, but Drew Francis goes in. And he's one of those guys who didn't get to play until the last 3 games of the year because of some injuries, and you hate to see, and Drew's probably going to go somewhere where he's a better fit in the defensive scheme and will have an opportunity to play more. But knowing his family and his dad Jeff and just a super guy, you hate to lose quality individuals like that. You also lose guys to graduation like Holden Willis, who is as good a football player as I think has ever suited up at middle. When you get right down to it, and you just hate having those quality people around. Like Omari Kelly has announced his intentions. There's one where and this is just me as a fan talking, okay, and is that he's at Auburn, has 5 catches in 2 or 3 years, comes to middle, who puts him in a showcase position, puts him out, and then walks away from that, and walks away from the program that gave him that opportunity. That's where I have a little bit of an issue, but it's just the way of the world. That's a me problem, I think, more than anything else, because Omari is a super good guy, and unfortunately, it's all about looking out for me these days, and a lot of more me than we. So
I don't think it's just a you problem. If it makes you feel any better, no, that's okay. But I mean, this is a conversation that we lapse into periodically. We saw Laura Mueller a couple of years ago,
right?
The pride of Chapel Hill transfer out of MTSU to Tennessee for softball, and as you said, after being afforded an opportunity to kind of showcase your skills, showcase them at the wrong time for Jeff Breeden and MTSU, and all of a sudden she's playing Southeastern Conference softball. And again,
you roll out the Twitter template. I want to thank all of these people at fill in blank school for the opportunities, blah 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 blah. But
yeah. It's tough. I mean, and it's tough for schools like Middle Tennessee State, because at times you feel like you are developing kids that you're not going to see the full fruit of your efforts with.
And that's the phrase the sentence you just gave right there. And here's where my thought processes get gummed up, because Derek Mason is fully on board. He was saying that middle is a developmental program. He goes, we can take these, we're going to sign 16, 18 high school kids. We're going to develop them, get them, and if that other opportunity comes, great. Or if they have a great career here, great. And he's on board with that, which a lot of coaches have to be these days. You don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
Right.
And fans, we can all, drag our feet as much as we want to, but he understands that and knows that developmental system, again, is a two-way street and a two-way door, to where a guy who may have oversigned himself out of high school just to say, I want to be part of X program, now decides, okay, I'm 2 years in, or I'm, I've completed my career there and never really played a whole lot, but I've still got something to give, and has an opportunity to maybe go from a P4 to a G5 and feel like they can, fill that out. They're very open to those opportunities. So
In other words, I'm Omari Kelly at Auburn.
right, exactly. And there's numerous of those guys,
Mhm.
and vice versa. Let's say, well, you look at UTEP's roster this year. There were 7 or 8 guys that had great years at Austin P last year that went with Scotty out to UTEP, and that happens. We had a lineman from Tech. Same thing. The elevator moves both ways. It's a fluid situation, and as you know, Derek, he's pretty gifted with words, and he has kind of used phrasing and phraseology numerous times to kind of define certain things, such as calling the National Signing Day tomorrow the draft, because he says that's where we're going to get our high school kids. That's the draft. He goes, then the portal opens December 9th. That's when free agency starts. So he's looking at it at that level. And so and he has the ability, and he and his staff have to have the ability to take the emotion out of it, because that's the job for fans and broadcasters and things like that, to leave the emotions in. And that's where I think there's that's the part where it's hard sometimes for, whether it's a player who leaves or you get too excited about one that comes in. So it's just it'll be an interesting time. And I don't know if we talked about this last week, but and I feel like I'm kind of preaching on here a little bit, but and I talked to Derek about this, is that National Signing Day tomorrow is about 10 days to 2 weeks earlier than it was a year ago or in the past. It used to be like the week after. Well, it was right, but I remember we were in Hawaii and the Bahamas, and they were going through letters of intent while we were on bowl trips. So my theory is right here. We've seen a lot of movement in college football coaching. ADs have pulled the trigger faster this year than we have ever seen. My theory is that moving signing date and the portal date up to December 4th and December 9th has forced the hand of athletic directors who are considering to make a change in their program to do it mid-season, so they can have somebody on board and not totally lose a signing period. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It does, yeah.
It absolutely makes sense. Yeah. Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Mr. Neely.
I was just getting ready to say, Chip, you kind of described the paradox right now of small college athletics, really regardless of sport, but especially in football, is you have to find that balance of building the program, but also kind of being up front with the student athletes, it feels like, and kind of what the expectations are. And I'm in many regards, I'm kind of glad I don't have to deal with that, because that is a difficult conversation to have on a yearly basis.
Yeah. The paradox is a great word. And roster management are the two words that are leading. Some people might say it's portal and NIL, but it comes back to roster management, and both of those things, have a lot to do. The NIL and the portal have everything to do with how you do manage your roster, and it's gotten away. And I don't care what level you are, whether you're P5, G5, D, 1AA, Division II, whatever. You've gotten away from building a program, and you build a series of teams. And so there's a lot of worst to first and first to worst we're seeing in all sports, and I think a lot of that comes back to this.
Let's step away from football. Although I do want to ask you, how busy do you expect things to be in the draft tomorrow?
I think out barring any major surprise, the hay is in the barn as far as that is concerned. From my understanding, it looks like, and believe me, I am not one who. Other people have the job of dealing with recruiting and all that kind of stuff. I'll wait and see who shows up before I don't have the energy and time to waste on all of that. But just reading from what I've read from others, 16 to 17 signees tomorrow, and of the 16 or 17, 10 of those are from the mid-state area.
Wow.
So, and so that I think is something that will be one of the headlines of the signing class that comes tomorrow. And then obviously you're 5 days away or so from other things happening, and from rumors of the portal to the actual facts start happening.
And then I guess once you get through tomorrow and the days that follow there, once you get through your transfer portal work, that'll dictate what you do in February when the second signing day comes about.
Right. And but then again, you'll have the opportunity to sign some transfers and get them in here prior to the spring semester starting. And so I mean, you've got to have a PhD to understand the recruiting calendar these days in college athletics. So, but you're right. In this November period, it is taken a lot of it used to be that first Wednesday in February, we all waited for it, to what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And now it is, I'm not going to say it's an afterthought, but it is taken a secondary position to the December signing period. And I think most programs are going to be like Middle, is that you use this signing period to basically build your high school and junior college signees and recruiting class. So we'll see.
Chip, Sam gave you a shout out, said he listened to your call of men's basketball. Give us an update on men's hoops. Big win for them over the weekend.
Huge.
Huge win. Anytime you win at UAB, you've done something. You should be proud of that. Andy Kennedy's program, they won the American tournament last year to get to the NCAA. They got the bid. They were picked number 1 in the preseason in the American, ahead of Memphis. And if you watched the Maui Invitational last week, Memphis got your attention. So this right now, it is a typical Andy Kennedy kind of team start to the season, in that they're still trying to find themselves a little bit. But man, are they big? Are they long? And can they rebound? And they've got Yaxel Lindeborg, who is the preseason American Player of the Year. But the Blue Raiders led that one almost wire to wire, led it for 37 minutes and 51 seconds of the 40 minutes. And excuse me. But, Justin Buford had his career high of 15. You had guys, Justin Porter just really kind of put himself on display in a game that featured a lot of very athletic guards.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had, down at the end, you're trying to withstand a run. You've got an inline out of bounds play with 4 seconds on the shot clock, up 3. And Isam Mustafa, who had just missed a reverse layup that he's hit only about 1,000,000 of those in his career, just happened to miss one, but they get the ball to him and he fires up a hook shot that banked in to give you a 5-point lead with about 20 seconds to go, and you play pretty good defense, get a rebound, hit 2 more free throws, and you go and win it. Just a really satisfying win. And now you put it in perspective. In the last 4 games, all away from Murphy Center, middle 3-1, they defeat the MAC preseason number 1. They defeat the American regular season champ from a year ago. They lose to the Missouri Valley preseason number 1, and they defeat the American preseason number 1. So a pretty strong section away from home. And now you come back, you've got Rhodes College tomorrow night, and then a big matchup with another Missouri Valley opponent on Saturday. You got a doubleheader, men and women, at noon and 2:30 at the Curb Center in Nashville, Middle and Belmont, and I think that's just going to be a heck of a lot of fun. You're going to have 4 really good basketball teams on the court in Nashville on Saturday.
You absolutely are. Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raider voice, joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Let's talk about those Lady Raiders for a minute, because I think we talked to you after the Florida A&M win, which was a big win. But we talked to you before the Purdue win, which was also a big win. And then they lost to, a really good Iowa State team with a really good post player in the middle, sophomore Audie Crooks. But, this middle team, the women are playing some really good ball as well, like you said.
Absolutely. And they've got an 11 a.m. tip tomorrow against SIU Edwardsville. It will be the Murfreesboro City Schools. There will be about 6,000 city school kids there tomorrow at Murphy Center, and it's a ton of fun. But they're playing a very difficult non-conference schedule. They still have road trips to Cal Baptist. I mean, they play Belmont, who beat them a year ago. And there's a bit of a revenge factor there. They go to Cal Baptist, then they have to go back across the country and play at Princeton. Just a not only are you playing good teams, but you've got some difficult travel in there as well. And I was trying to look here real quick to see what else is on the docket between now and the beginning of the conference race, which for the ladies, a good thing is that the conference schedule will start in Murfreesboro. Just forgotten. On the 14th, they go to St. Joseph's, Missouri to take on Kansas State, and they'll go straight from there to Riverside, California to play Cal Baptist. And then they will get to come home for Christmas, and then between Christmas and New Year's will be the trip to Princeton, New Jersey, the play on the 29th. And that also is a game against a Princeton team that knocked them off a year ago.
A little revenge at play for the ladies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But this team is, really when you look at the lineup from a year ago, you don't have Courtney Whitson and you don't have Savannah Wheeler, but Courtney Blakely has jumped in there and done a really nice job. Courtney Wheeler is just the Miss Intangible, but Anastasia Boldreva, Player of the Week again this week in Conference USA, has gotten bigger, gotten stronger, gotten smarter. Jalen Gregory, her 3-point shot coming along. So this team is starting to percolate like it wants to at the right time of the year.
Chip, we mentioned Mike McIntyre, the former Brentwood Academy receiver, being terminated at Florida International. That's not the only coach that Conference USA has lost, apparently.
Nope.
Casey Keeler leaving Sam Houston and going to take over the Temple program.
You talk about culture shock from Huntsville, Texas to Philadelphia, PA.
Now, but he's from that area, though,
Yeah,
right?
he is.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, it is a. Huntsville may have been the shock for him when
The
he got
shock.
there.
Yeah.
But you forget Brian Bohannon was one of the first coaches in the country to get let go at Kennesaw, and they've already hired Jerry Mack.
Right, Jerry Mack,
to
the former
to,
UT running back coach, among other things. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and who was mentioned at Middle a year ago. Charlotte is open. Let's talk about the American and the Sun Belt. Biff Poggi or Poggi, however you want to. Not Greg Pogue, but Biff Poggi was relieved over there. FAU open. They just hired. They hired somebody yesterday. Tulsa is open. Appalachian State. Sean Clark was let go.
Those guys got a false sense of what they are over there, clearly.
Yeah. East Carolina has already filled their opening. Rice has filled their opening. And I think I did mention Tulsa, but those are just the openings in the group of 5. And that doesn't even include anything out west because, UNLV could very well come open if Barry Odom ends up with the West Virginia job, or there's going to be some others out there that I just don't pay a whole ton of attention to.
Chip, I got to ask you: does the Liberty job come open here in a couple of weeks in your mind?
I don't know. And are you assuming that he might
Hearing
be
Jamie Chadwell for a number of different jobs, but especially kind of feels like UCF is gaining a little traction in the last 24 hours.
Well, I forgot about I forgot UCF they got one to they have one that is open. Well, I don't know if this is any foreshadowing or not, but Caden Salter announced that he's going to go into the transfer portal, the Liberty quarterback. So I don't know if he knows something or not, but I mean, Jamie Chadwell's been, he's they were down a bit this year, more so on the defensive side than on the offensive side, but obviously he did some amazing things at Coastal and had an undefeated and a Fiesta Bowl year last year at Liberty. So he is still a really, high level prospect. So yeah, I mean that could be a change there. Has Southern Miss done anything yet? I heard a rumor, and this is completely rumor, that Charles Huff might leave Marshall to go to Southern Miss.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's out there.
Yeah, and that would be staying in the same conference in a year where you got to the championship game.
Could win the championship and then take it straight to Hattiesburg.
Yeah, how about that?
It is warmer in Hattiesburg than Huntington, that's for sure. So, I mean, I get it. But Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, the pride of the Dimple, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, as he does virtually every Tuesday.
Unless I don't.
Unless you don't. Chip, we appreciate it. Hey, are you working any Blue Cross Bowl games?
Yes. Matter of fact, I have much information in this folder right there. I will have on Thursday. I will have Columbia Academy and Nashville Christian.
Oh my goodness! Are you going to be able to contain yourself calling the hometown team?
Well, when I was in high school, they were not the hometown team. It was still CMA at the time. But then on Friday, I have the 3A matchup with Alcoa and Martin Westview. Looking forward to that. And then Friday night, I will have Page and Sevier County.
Ooh,
yep.
Okay.
So by the way, I do need to have a conversation with you sometime either tonight or tomorrow. I've got a few little
brain picking,
sometime before
little homework to be done.
Yeah. Sometime before 2:00 on Thursday, huh?
That's right.
Sounds good. Chip, we appreciate it, man. I'll see you down there.
All right. See you. Bye.
Thanks, Chip.
Hey, when we continue here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, it's a quick grab bag because we still got to get to the final segment, Top 5 Tuesday, Most Hated TV Characters. Stay tuned after the break.
Hi, I'm Riley, a certified physician associate here at Premier Foot and Ankle Centers of Tennessee. We have a couple locations, Murfreesboro, McMinnville, as well as Franklin. We treat people of all ages. We're excited to get you back on your feet and hope we can help you today.
Call us today to schedule an appointment. We look forward to seeing you.
Because here at Premier Foot and Ankle, we believe that
the journey begins with happy feet.
He shoots, and he scores!
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, continues. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. In our final segment, we will give you our top 5 most hated television characters. Right now, though, we're going to talk about somebody we love. Famous Jameis doing famous Jameis things last night on Monday Night Football. 400 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 pick sixes are a grouping of numbers that no other National Football League quarterback has pulled off.
Yeah, these other QBs could only dream of a performance.
Your QB could never.
Could never. I mean, yeah, you got Scott Van Pelt described it best. You got the full Jameis experience.
You really did. Every bit of it.
3 yards shy of 500, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks, almost a third pick six at the very end of the game that was only saved by a shoestring tackle. What more could you ask for on a night where the Browns scored 32 points? They somehow found a way to lose because Denver continues to have a strong heartbeat in the AFC playoff picture.
He threw for 497 yards. He gave up 171 interception return yards, 668 total yards off of Jameis Winston passes, which is the most by any quarterback in a single game in NFL history.
It was absurd. This one was fun to watch.
They need a better tackling offense.
Yeah, they got to do
it.
a better job of tackling. You're right. And Jerry Jeudy revenge game was in full effect. He had 235 yards last night, just absolutely running uncovered. This was wild. You talked about crazy stats yesterday. Somebody asked me, and I said, I got no clue. When was the last time you heard of 4 wide receivers having 100 yards in one game? Because you had Jeudy with 235, Elijah Moore had 111, and then for the Broncos, you had Mims and Sutton both going over 100 yards. Defense was optional, which was something coming into this game. It looked like it was going to be a classic 10-7 stinker, and instead we got treated to a 41-32 entertaining showdown.
Winston also became the first player since 2019 to finish with at least 450 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and 3 interceptions in the same game. The last player to pull off that feat was also Winston, who did it 5 years ago with the Bucks.
Yeah, he's the gift that keeps on giving, and
you gotta love him, though.
I mean, yeah, and he's had some issues off the field that I know a lot of folks still have problems with. But as far as
all issues off the field at Florida State, has he had it? He's not.
And he's had some issues, but so I gotta clear that out there because some people he rubs people the wrong way, and not diminishing sexual assault and crimes of that nature, but just saying as far as on the field, you cannot help but love this guy. And for Cleveland, I said this weeks and weeks and weeks ago, if they were a serious franchise, they would not have rolled out Watson. They would have let Winston go from the jump.
Well,
and they have deprived us, so he's making up for lost time is all he's doing.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, you and Troy Aikman are on the same page as far as that goes.
Did he go with that too?
Yes.
Okay, well, hey.
So you can consider yourself validated.
I don't know if I like that or don't like that, but let the record show I might have beat Troy to the punch there because, Watson was so bad. And Cleveland knew, I know they had a great run last year with Flacco coming in. They tried out 5 different quarterbacks and kind of somehow struck gold with him down the stretch. The defense is still good, but they really did not give themselves a chance by trotting out. Not saying you give yourself a whole lot better chance to win games with Winston, but it's certainly going to be entertaining. My man threw nearly 60 passes last night.
58. 34
Unbelievable.
58. And then 4 of those other 24 were picked.
Crazy game. And Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels better be lucky that he had a great game Sunday versus the Titans. Otherwise, he's still the favorite on FanDuel.
Is he? Okay.
But Bo Nix is creeping, and he's coming around. He's getting ready to take over his block if he's not careful. He was lucky that he had a good game Sunday versus the Titans because Nix, even though he wasn't at his best last night, he's still having a great rookie season as well after a really bad start.
The Bo Nix buzz is definitely starting to pick up. I saw that Azeez Al-Shaair hit on Trevor Lawrence after our conversation with Teresa Walker from the Associated Press yesterday, and I did see the forearm shiver. I had never seen it from that angle before, but the 3-game suspension that was announced today was probably deserved and probably then some, to be honest.
Heard somebody say on a podcast today he should be suspended until Trevor Lawrence is allowed to come back. Yeah, because it doesn't feel like he's coming back anytime soon. Probably, if you're the Jaguars, why bring him back at this point the rest of the year?
I feel like, where there are concussions involved in illegal hits like that, I feel like that's totally in line. As long as the guy is out that you hurt by hitting him illegally, you're out. You want to nip it in the bud? I got no problem with that. But he did appeal it, I think.
Formality, presumably. He went full Stan Hansen with the lariat almost. Throwing an old wrestling reference out there because that was rough. And we saw the clip yesterday. We watched it. Lawrence immediately starts, riding the bicycle there. That was not a good situation. And that's why I think everybody, like we talked about yesterday too, for the Jags immediately said, no, not on our watch.
Yeah. Finally, we mentioned yesterday that Christian McCaffrey sustained a knee injury in that loss to Buffalo and was likely headed to IR. Well, he is. And so is Gallatin native Jordan Mason. So Isaac Gurindo and Patrick Taylor Jr. will be the two running backs for San Francisco against the Bears this weekend. Mason suffered a high ankle sprain in that 35-10 loss to Buffalo. So
season from hell continues.
Bad to worse. Absolutely. It's been a tough go for the 49ers. I think the best thing for them at this point would just be to get this season over with.
Yeah, I mean they're an injury away from having to play Juszczyk as switch him over from fullback to running back because things are getting bad for those guys in the backfield.
Yeah. We are going to skip our last break. Producer Mark says we can. And we are going to roll straight into the final segment, Top 5 Tuesday, presented by Mid-South 5 Fitness. Two great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia, whatever shape it is you're in. Dallas Steele will get you in a better one. You can find him at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. Mid-South 5 Fitness is bringing you our top 5 most hated television characters. With that, Mr. Neely, the floor is yours.
Man, most hated TV characters, I immediately thought of King Joffrey on Game of Thrones. And he's a bad guy from the very first scene that he's ever in the show. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to give any spoilers if you're still missing that. But let's just know he is hated from the moment, which in some way, though, you got to respect because he lets you know that he's an ass from the jump. Yeah, he is the boy king, and oof, yeah, he'll make your blood boil, even if you're pretty level-headed. It's tough. King Joffrey got to go number 1.
When I came up with this, I instantly thought of the HBO show Oz, the prison drama. Vernon Schillinger. Yeah, that's my number 1.
HBO's produced some good villains over the years.
Yeah, they do a good job at villains.
Yeah, they do a good job of getting your blood pumping there. Number 2 for me, I'm going Breaking Bad. I'm going Skylar White, who starts off as a great character. You love Skylar. She's great. By the end, oh man, you do not like Skylar. And she turns on Walt, and that's all. Again, that's all I'm going to say for not spoiling it. But Skylar White got to go number 2 because just when you think you could trust her, it gets bad.
I'm going to go old school with number 2 here. From MASH, Colonel Frank Burns. Now that kind of predates you.
Yeah, I know that's the legendary show, but I got no frame of reference there.
It's a legendary show. It was kind of a drama comedy, kind of ahead of its time along those lines. But Frank was that spoil sport kind of guy. Anytime there was any fun to be had, he wasn't
doing it.
He was urinating on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Frank Burns would be my number 2 most hated television character. Number 3, Wade.
Number 3 for me, most hated TV character. I like this guy, but he's a hated character. What about Mr. Burns from The Simpsons? Oh, come on, man. I mean, give me Mr. Burns. He's evil. Like I said, you kind of like him, and I know it's a comedy, but I mean, how can you not hate Mr. Burns also? He's just pure evil.
Yeah. I mean,
so much so he was even, I mean, they shot Mr. Burns. I mean,
he made Homer's life hell.
Yeah. I mean,
and everybody else's.
I don't like him.
Yeah. That's
even though I love him.
Yeah. That's a good one. And it's interesting. So since you're going Sunday Night Fox, in the early hour, I will go an hour later to the legendary Married with Children, and I will go to The Neighbor, Al Bundy's, the burr under Al Bundy's saddle that wasn't Peg. Marcy Darcy.
That was a show I was not really allowed to watch a ton with kids, so
I can understand.
But yes, good pull there. Al Bundy's thorn in the side, like you said.
Without question. Absolutely. Yeah. That's funny. You're number 4.
Number 4, since Chip mentioned it, I got to go Ralph Cifaretto from The Sopranos. From the moment
Who
Ralph,
did he say? Vito? Who? I've not seen The Sopranos.
Vito is one of the more heinous characters on the show, but Ralph really gets my goat. From the moment he shows up, he's just schmarmy, and he thinks he's better than everybody, and he's just got bad vibes. And I can't do Ralph. There's a couple guys on The Sopranos that are very unlikable, downright hateable, but Ralph is my number 1 for sure.
You are definitely a vibes guy.
I mean, you got to. I mean,
like
I mean, that's the whole point, right? It's tugging at my emotions, and when I see Ralph, I'm already kind of almost clenching the fist right there when he's on screen,
tensing up.
Which means obviously the actor is doing a great job.
What's he getting ready to do?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. My number 4. Friday Night Lights. Buddy Garrity.
Oh man.
The classic "I've got money, so I'm in charge" kind of guy. It's a lot of those. A very realistic character.
I was going to say, and depending on which small town in Tennessee you go to, every town has
one. I can think of one immediately. I'm
going to protect some names. Across southern middle Tennessee, but those folks are out there for sure.
Beyond, yes. So yeah, Buddy Garrity from Friday Night Lights is my number 4 most hated television character. You're number 5.
Man, I go back and forth between these two. I flipped a coin, but I'm going Newman from Seinfeld. There was another character. I'll wait and see who you pick, but there was another character that was real close for me. But Newman, I mean, just when he shows up on the screen, I mean, Jerry literally said Newman. So I mean, Newman's got to go up there on number 5 for me.
Hello, Newman. Yeah. My number 5 was from another binge watch back while we were in lockdown a few years ago. Justified. This woman was your, family matriarch who was just pure evil. Mags Bennett from Justified. If you've not seen it, then clearly you won't get it. But if you have, then you're sitting there nodding your head. Yeah.
That's a show I got to go back and check out again. I've only seen a handful of episodes, and it was good.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll add that to the binge episode too, because I know it's great. I know it's a good show.
It is. And Margot Martindale did a great job with that.
Soup Nazi was my other pick there, so it was between Newman or Soup Nazi.
A couple of Seinfeld.
Yeah, had to go with one of those two, and Newman more recurring, so I went with him. But could have gone Soup Nazi as well, right there at the end.
There you go. Here's one, and this one, an honorable mention that a lot of people have, in years since the show ended, have kind of come around to this way of thinking, and I kind of have to. Florida Evans from Good Times. Because every time something good would happen for the Evans family, they would have some sort of a windfall or something like that. She would find some kind of way to give it back or just kind of, like Frank Burns, kind of spit on it.
Fly in the ointment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, that's Top 5 Tuesday. Again, brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness. 2 great locations, one in Franklin, one in Columbia. Thala Steele. You can find him at Steel Athletes, STEEL athletes.com. Whatever shape you're in, he'll get you in a better one. Check him out, especially here at the holidays. That's going to do it for Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Wade Neely, Maurice Patton, we are here in the Lee Company studios, and we will see you all at 2 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be talking a little local basketball with Joe Sullivan, so be sure and check us out starting at 2 o'clock. We'll see you then.